When Nintendo's Wii was released in November of 2006, it was both loved and hated by critics and the public alike. Fully backwardly compatible with all GameCube games, if you could find one, the Wii was completely innovative to play, with its nunchuck and Wiimote controllers. Due to massive public interest, it wasn't long before it became the third best-selling home console of all time, but there was always one thing its competitors had that it didn't. You see, Microsoft's Xbox 360 and Sony's PlayStation 3 both had HDMI capabilities out of the box. This is something Nintendo never addressed, despite harder revisions of the console, and the best us the consumer was offered was a component cable in its stead. While better than the SCART cable bundled with Wii consoles, it was nothing more than enhanced definition, at its best allowing 480p on standard TVs, or an image upscale to 720p on HD displays. The Wii2HDMI Converter claims to change all that, so let's check it out. As can be seen in the box, it claims to output video and audio in full HDMI format with no transmission loss, does not require a separate power adapter, and when I removed it from the packaging, had no additional instructions other than the image and text on the box telling us it requires no messy cords, just one HDMI cable. Setup was incredibly straightforward. Plug in the power supply as normal, the Wii2HDMI converter with text facing down into the AV multi-out slot, your sensor bar, and then simply connect the HDMI cable and you're ready to go. Nothing left to do now but turn it on and see how it looks. As is obvious, there is an immediate improvement because the Wii2HDMI converter is upscaling the image from the 480p signal outputted natively by the Wii console to 720p or 180p depending on what you selected. This is where my converter let me down. Clearly one of the cheap knockoffs, mine did not have the required small pinhole near the HDMI output to switch resolutions. It remained constant however, so I was happy enough as my Wii now fits in perfectly to one of the empty slots I have in my 5-port HDMI switch. That being said, the Wii2HDMI converter isn't without its flaws. Depending on the game, it can look fairly pale and washed out compared to its component cable counterpart, but the biggest issue I had was hot swapping the device itself. Do not, under any circumstances, remove the converter while your Wii is switched on and then reinsert it. I was sent a handful of these to test, evaluate and or break depending on how you look at it, so you don't have to. Removing the device from the AV input slot and reinserting it while the Wii was still on resulted in the converter no longer working 100% of the time all the time. But on a separate note, it does make for a pretty impressive glowing bright blue nightlight if you decide to sleep in the same room as it. Overall, for such a small device, the Wii2HDMI converter impressed me. The ones I received had a few niggling issues, and I might invest in one with the actual pinhole to see the differences, but for less than €4 posted, it's definitely an inexpensive way to play your Wii in HD.